lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge podcast. My name is Ryan, and with me, as always, is my boy Dill. We're here to talk our weekly reads, the comic books that the new releases that came out that we picked to talk about this week. And while we're not going to talk about my favorite book that came out this week because it's in the middle of a story arc, I have to just shout out Nightwing 83 was by far the best book to come out this week. Tom Taylor, Bruno Redondo, I mean, if that book doesn't win an Eisner next year, I will be fucking flabbergasted. So I even got somebody to pick it up off the shelf, and then he picked up the fucking previous issues too. I was like, yeah, dude, it's the best book this week. I was like, you're not reading it? I was like, that's a shame that you don't like good books. And so he walked over there and he picked them all up and he's like, you costed me more money this week, Ryan. These better be good. And I was like, I don't recommend bad books, so buy the fucking book and go enjoy them. You know, I really do think it's DC's best ongoing right now, hands down.
I would have to agree. Yeah, Nightwing is fucking good, but it's also Tom Taylor. Like, I'm a Tom Taylor stan, so
yeah, exactly, same here. And but yeah, so I just want to say that real quick. But the books we're going to talk about more in depth are Killer Queens #1, Kang the Conqueror #1, and Trial of Magneto #1. So just some #1s this week. Everything else is in the middle of story arcs. So if we're going to talk about another ongoing series with like a random number, it has to be the beginning of the story arc. Otherwise, it's just weird, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, or the end of a story arc. We can do end of the story arc. That way we can kind of wrap things up, you know?
All right, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I like that.
I also speaking of story arcs that I needed to start that you've been like hounding me about, I started reading Sword finally, and I fucking love Al Ewing. Yeah, Al Ewing is easily becoming one of my favorite. If he's obviously become one of my favorite writers because of Immortal Hulk within itself. Guardians of the Galaxy has been fantastic. I started reading Sword. Wow. Al Ewing, guys. I know we talked about it before, but there's like a new way, like, you know how like the late 2000s were kind of like a turning point in Marvel, like, you know, with Bendis, Brubaker, all those guys, all those all the freaking, you know, Matt Fraction, all those guys. I feel like, you know, the beginning of the 2020s is kind of like the shift in paradigm where, you know, we kind of have writers like that right now, whether it be Al Ewing, Chip Zdarsky, Kelly Thompson. Kelly Thompson is over here kicking ass.
Another shout out, dude. I don't know if you've looked at my Goodreads.
I just saw it this morning.
I've been plowing through Captain Marvel. I like that book a lot. It's not. I won't say that she's made Captain Marvel one of my favorite characters or anything. I'm not going to go that far, but it is a really fun book. Like, I brought the first 3 home because I'm going to chat with her tomorrow, so I wanted to kind of, catch up on some of the other stuff. But I don't want to just talk Black Widow, she writes other books. So I brought the first 3, and I'm like, fuck, this is good. So then I brought 4 and 5 home, and I plowed through those in the last couple of days, and I brought the single issues home for what will be volume 6, but the trade's not out yet. So I think it's a great series. Kelly Thompson is killing it. Going to be on Spider-Man as one of the writers for the Beyond initiative. So I think that, and we've already talked Black Widow. I mean, she's fucking amazing on that book. That episode will be dropping next couple weeks. You know, the volume 1 that we talked about. So Al Ewing, amazing. I think you got to put Donny Cates. I mean,
you got to put Donny Cates in there.
You got to put Donny Cates in there.
He's you know. Like, it's I wouldn't even say it's 50-50. It's like 80-20 where people either like him or don't. But, like, the thing is, you can't deny the kind of footprint he's left on the Marvel Universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest footprints ever, and it literally spans across our universe.
Yeah, you're right. Marvel has been killing it with the new wave of writers. I know that
and the thing is, it's like, some of these titles are titles that you wouldn't think that would, like, you know, take off, right? Like, you know, in
Jed McKay too.
Yeah, Jed McKay. Like, Christopher Cantwell. Chris Cantwell is killing it too. Like, you know what I mean? There's this shift in writers where it's just like, damn, they're putting out fucking excellent ass fucking content. Like, you know, and some of these there's titles like, you know, if this was like 2014, you were to tell me that I would love a Venom book, I would have been like, eh. Or you would have told me, I would have freaking been like, balls deep in a freaking Guardians of the Galaxy book. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, say, Black Widow. Like, you know what I mean? Case in point, Black Widow. This is the kind of writing that we've been waiting for, and the thing is, you have to take a step back and look at it in a grand scale. That all these writers are really like Marvel. Marvel in itself is putting out some quality shit.
And I
Some
think they're also
quality shit.
giving the opportunities to the writers. I talked to Jed McKay yesterday. I interviewed him, and I was telling him, I was like, "Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like the fact that they gave you Moon Knight is kind of telling in the kind of faith they have in you as a writer, because Moon Knight's status is getting elevated with him getting the Disney Plus show, right? So like the fact that you're the one writing the ongoing as we're gonna lead up into this, I think that's them putting a lot of faith, you know. And I think that it's cool to see writers that normally, or maybe like 2-3 years ago, even if they were in the comic book industry, we weren't really paying attention to. But now, like, not to say that they're getting higher profile books, but it's, since the old guard is kind of out of the way, it's kind of letting them kind of breathe and become the new guard. I mean, Jason Aaron obviously is still around, but for the rest, like, Fraction's not there, Bendis isn't there, Brubaker's not there, Remender's not there anymore.
Remender. I love that guy.
I mean, Kieran Gillen has kind of always been on the fringe. He's writing Eternals.
He can write whatever. I feel like Kieran Gillen could literally work for whatever publisher he wants.
And then Hickman too. He's been around, right? Like he's been there for quite a while.
And every time Hickman is kind of involved with any kind of project, off top, it'll sell. Especially given his track record, right?
The name sells alone. Yeah, it's just his name. Like he could write a Squirrel Girl book, and people would be like, "Oh my god, that's the best comic being produced by Marvel."
I mean, if he did make a Squirrel Girl book, I would sub it instantly.
I would. Oh well, yeah, I would too. I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm just saying that people would say it's the best book. All right. Anyways, off on our tangents. Let's talk. We'll talk Killer Queens first.
With Comic Launch favorite, David Embure. Like, we love him around here. David Embure is fantastic. Art by Claudia Balboni. Yeah. Colors Harry Saxon. Letters by Lucas Gattoni. Jen Bartel did a fantastic, seat cover for this. Like, I totally got old school pulp science fiction vibes from it. Which
the whole book kind of has that. I mean, just like the costume design. Yeah, it's LGBTQ friendly.
It's an entire LGBTQ plus what do you call creative team, which is fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The two main characters, Max and Alex, absolutely freaking lovable. Beatty, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. David, holla at us. Let us know if we're pronouncing that right. Like the furry monkey face, which
my favorite character in the book.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say. Off top, Ryan loves him.
Best character in the book.
Intergalactic flying monkey who leads a ring of kill for hire assassins.
Yeah. It's awesome. Look at him. Look at this face. That's like me in monkey form, bro. Like I've made this face. I have made this face multiple times in my life. Maybe that's why I liked him so much. Because that is the look I have. When I'm working in the kitchen and somebody pisses me, I just stare at them and I fucking give them that look. Like, make them feel stupid. Look, and then this page too, where he's like look, this book, I'm going to be completely honest with you. It was not like, I didn't like it as much as I expected to, because I really liked Kanto. But then again, I didn't read Kanto on a monthly basis, so who knows how I would have felt after the first issue of Kanto. Would I have liked it as much as I did reading the whole trade? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know. I think that it's interesting setup. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's like a 7.5. That's kind of where I'm at. The art I really love, but I like this artist. She did a book with Image. It was a 6-issue series. Oh man, I can't remember the name. I did a review of it when it first came out. This is probably like 2.5 years ago, something like that. But it was like this. It was like a kind of like a detective story with this. It was a girl, and then her fucking her partner was like this kind of tiger looking dude. I can't remember the name. It was a really good book. I thought it should have lasted longer, but anyways, so I know her art from that, and I think the art was really good. I love the expressiveness she puts in her faces. It's really clean line work. It's
absolutely
got good action. The pacing of it is really good. The panel structure, everything like about the art to me, I would say the art is definitely like nine out of 10.
Yeah,
but
the character design in here is fantastic. I mean, Beatty, obviously. I love Alex's costume. It gives me like definite Flash Gordon vibes. You know what I mean? I have to say it, but like, what really stands out for me in this is the lettering. The lettering in this is fantastic. Lucas Gattoni, he really freaking kills it in this. Like, whether it be the onomatopoeias, like when the monkey alarm goes off, that's fantastic. The snatch, the booms, the wreck up this place, like all that stuff. I mean, even right down to like the diner sign, like all this stuff is like, it really sets a tone for like, the kind of comic this is. You know what I mean? It's fun. It moves at a great, the story itself moves at a great pace. Characters are interesting. I mean, I love Alex. I love her whole fucking get down. Alex is fantastic. I also love Max and how he is, he's kind of a slut.
He's a horror for sure.
Yeah. He's kind of a slut, but also he's a badass slut. So that's I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
also space otters, hench otters. I don't know whose idea that was. David, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, David Boer is a talented writer. I will give him that. I think that this is a completely different tone than we get with Kanto. Completely different. So if you're expecting something similar in vein to that, then this may not be for you if that's what you're looking for. I definitely think it's worth picking up. I just I don't know. It didn't give me that extra, right? That kind of like makes me want to. Yeah, that makes me want to fucking like add it to the pool. I was just having this conversation yesterday because one of the coworkers at the shop, he really loved Batman '89, and well, you know me, don't.
Dude, a lot of people loved it. A lot of people loved it.
I
was just sitting and like I didn't. I bit my tongue.
Okay.
Most
it's
of the
okay.
time.
Some people have good taste, and some people have bad taste. That's just the nature of it. Now, you know me. I don't hold back. I will say exactly what I'm thinking when I'm thinking it, and I did. I was like, no, that book was not good. That was not a good book. I said, but I'll be honest with you. I said, my buddy Dylan and I, it was part of one of our reads last week, and I told him on the podcast that I will reserve judgment and I'll grade it as a whole when it's done. But to me, as a first issue, that was not a good first issue. There's certain things you need in a first issue to where I will say that's a great first issue. And if it makes me want to add it to my pull, like let's say Superman Son of Kal-El, right? Yeah. Amazing Fantasy by Kari Andrews. Like when it makes me want to add it to my pull and not say, you know what, that was good, but I'll just wait for the trade. To me, then it wasn't that great of a first issue. It was an okay first issue. To me, Batman '89 was like just a tiny step below okay. This is a step above okay, but at the same time, like, I'll wait for the trade.
Judge it as a whole.
Yeah, because it's like I said, it's not a bad book.
We have a lot of room for character development too.
Yeah. I mean, it's only a 4-issue series, right?
I definitely thought this was a really great establishing shot for the universe in which it takes place.
Sure.
It kind of gives you I mean, the thing is, it gives you introductory into both characters. But the thing is, for both characters, what I see potential in immense amount of growth. Yeah. So that's this. I give it a solid 8. Solid.
Okay.
8.
Yeah. See, for me, I'm in between 7 and 8. Which, again, like I'm not. I didn't dislike the book. I don't want anybody listening or watching to think that I disliked it. I just didn't love it. It didn't blow me away. I thought the art was fantastic, but I already liked her art going into it, so I already knew I was gonna like the art. The writing, like reading Kanto, I'm like, okay, the writing should be good, and the writing wasn't bad. It just didn't give me that, that fucking. The punch that I wanted, the little oomph that I wanted in a first issue. I will.
You don't give me the fucking oomph for a fucking first issue.
Yeah.
Fucking Kang. Holy shit.
This is my favorite of the 3 books we picked.
Remember how, like, literally we were just talking about it. Like, if you were to tell me 2 years ago, that I would love a Kang comic.
Let me tell you something, bro. I have thought that this dude was the fucking goofiest looking villain possibly in Marvel Comics. Purple and green. Baggy green shirt with fucking like I could never get over his design.
Not to mention the fishbowl helmet that's filled with the same blue liquid that they use at barbershops. Yeah, it's glass. Like I feel like it's liquid. I don't know. Like,
because his entire face, I thought that was blue face, or that his face was blue, like the entire time. But then, like, look, this dude has got such a convoluted history. Nathaniel Richards, he's Reed Richards' dad. He's fucking Ramatud. He's got all these different fucking identities. So, and I know people that Kang is their favorite Marvel villain. So when I've heard people say that, I'm like, and maybe I just haven't read the stories that are good, you know, with
Kang, like,
yeah,
you know
or
enough
Kang. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure there's good Kang stories out there, obviously, right? Like, they're making him a big bad in MCU.
He's a fucking red. First off, he's a red herring. I don't give a fuck. Like, I stand by my fucking testament that Kang the Conqueror in the MCU is a red herring. He's a diversion. Our big bad has yet to be revealed. It's too early. It's too early for them to reveal the big bad.
What do you mean? He's gonna be the Loki. Loki was a big bad. I consider Loki a big bad. Do you not?
No. But the thing is, Loki was the big bad for up until Avengers.
Right. That's what Kang is gonna be.
Yeah, no. But like, I mean, Thanos level big bad.
Well, of course not.
Like,
well, of course not. He can't be.
Yeah.
Because he's not. I mean, he's all he does is time travel. But anyways, I mean, I think that they're obviously, like, I just said it, right? Jed McKay, Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Kang is in MCU. Marvel is not stupid in terms of, like, the comics they put out. They always make sure they have something to tie in. That's why we got the Taskmaster book. That's why Black Widow got an ongoing again.
U.S. Agent.
U.S. Agent. That's why Kang is getting it, right? And I think for somebody like me, and I don't want to speak for you, but I'm assuming somebody like you as well, that doesn't have a deep knowledge of Kang, right?
Yeah. No.
This is an awesome introductory. Like, this is a perfect example to me of what I was saying, of giving you something where you're like, fuck, okay, I want to read that next issue. Like, I don't want to wait for the trade. Like, this is something where I'm like, this got me intrigued. And it's not because it's a Marvel book, you know. I'm just as critical of an indie book as a Marvel or DC. I just want everybody to know that. So, and
100%.
I'll be the first person to be like, nah, I'll wait for the trade for that Marvel comic. I don't need to have that in my collection. But I like this book a lot. I love time travel. You know, I think my favorite movie still is, like, Back to the Future. I will always say that. And I think that being able to kind of take, first of all, credits. Let me read that. Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly are the writers. Carlos Magno is the artist. Espen Grunjern is colorist. And Joe Caramagna is the letter. And we had the main cover by the great Mike Del Mundo, one of my favorites. I know one of yours as well.
I was actually just talking about Mike Del Mundo yesterday, and his use of hip hop onomatopoeias whenever he does his lettering. Because a Kendrick Lamar song came on, and he was like, doot, 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 doot. And I was like, telling, oh, yeah, one of my favorite comic book artists, he did doot, 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 doot in one of his pictures, and I loved it. Like,
He's amazing. Yeah. I think the art's great. Carlos Magno I believe he did the, what's his name in the Heroes Are Born? It's, what's his name? The main guy, the Superman analog. What is his name? Hyperion. There we go. So he illustrated the Hyperion story, and that's the first time I've seen his art, and I thought it was really good. And I think the art is great in here.
Yes.
Art's, like, to me, kind of flawless, right?
And I have zero complaints visually about this book. Absolutely zero complaints at all. There's nothing about it that is not good. He even makes Kang's costume look better.
Agreed. It doesn't look as fucking dorky as I have judged it for years.
It's you know what it looks like? Like, you know, usual iterations of Kang's costume. It looks like he's wearing, like, a big ass, like, douchey infinity scarf. Like, you know what I mean?
Douchey infinity scarf.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's always flowy. But like this, it actually looks like it looks regal.
Yeah, to me, it always looks like a green poncho.
Yes.
And I'm just like,
yes.
are you protecting yourself from the rain, or is this supposed to look badass? I don't think it is. But yeah, I agree. That's a good point. He did make the costume look a lot better.
He made thigh highs, purple thigh highs look good. Let's just say that.
Yeah. And anytime Doom is in a book, I'm here for it. So
albeit it was a Doom bot.
Either way, Doom has got, because there's a connection between Doom and Kang.
There's always been a connection with Doom and Kang. Only reason why I know what I know about Kang is because the amount of Doom that I've consumed.
Same.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I know that there's always been a connection. I mean, even Chris Cantwell touches on it a lot in his run of Doctor Doom, how it's even assumed that they're related. Like either he begat Doom or Doom begat him. Like there's a very convoluted history when it comes to like the order of things. But the simple fact that, you know, they end up in, you know, Latveria and Doomstat, like, you know, in the lost library of Victor Von Doom, like speaks magnitudes for, you know, that. Like,
yeah, and I love that,
that connection.
Because what, like, again, like we're opening with a young Kang. This is before he has become Kang the Conqueror, and you know, he lives in a utopia and stuff. And I just think, I mean, just the dialogue, or not dialogue, but the narration in that opening page where he's like at the fucking computer, just kind of really sets up the kind of what we're going to expect, I think, perfectly in just that one page. And this takes place in 31st century, so we're far in the fucking future. So
I like how he describes the utopia. Like he's like, you know, history is stopped. You know, because everything's done. You know what I mean? You don't really think about that. Like, you know, once we've achieved like peak friggin' human civilization, like what else is there? What else more could possibly happen, right? Like in terms of discovery, in terms of science, in terms of poetry, in terms of art, like, you know, you kind of have to think, you know, that just that concept of like history stopping is like phenomenal. And a genius level kid sitting here and being bored of it, and he does something about it.
And how about being bullied, getting his fucking throat slit, and then like talking about that and how you can recover in a matter of months because of like the technology. Like that was fucking crazy, dude. You know what I mean? Like, so this obviously that also gives you insight into why this fucker is kind of nuts, right? He's kind of dark, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna conquer all these motherfuckers. Because that's often what you see. Somebody that gets bullied, right? Like I say that about cops. They're like, oh, that's why that motherfucker, he obviously got bullied as a kid and now he's a cop. Or it's a former jock that, you know, wants to recapture the glory of when he was fucking playing high school football or whatever, you know what I mean? So like that's kind of cool to kind of really quickly paint this picture for who Kang is and who Nathaniel Richards is and why he is a villain, right? And that's only, to me, like, that's why I'm saying, like, it's crazy. It's only in 2 pages. And you're getting the backstory out of the way, and you fucking, to me, that's a perfect way of setting up the character where you don't spend a lot of pages, or you don't spend a whole issue, or you don't wait till the second issue. You're giving it to us in the beginning, but then also leaving room to flesh it out a little bit more.
What I really like about this is, okay, you know, time travel shenanigans. You know, time travel shenanigans. There's always stuff with time travel shenanigans that, like, you know, that lead you into multiple paradoxes. And you know, what I like about this is, like, you know, an older version of oneself teaching the young version of oneself automatically deviates the path of the one being taught, right? Right? Automatically.
Or it loops because he had always taught him.
Yeah, he had always taught him, so it loops. Yeah, you're right. But
it's
like,
great.
but you know, but you know, what's great about this is just, like, you know, the ego and the vanity of the young, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like it really captures that. Like, you know, Nathaniel Richards, he sees the flaw in his older self, right? Like, you know, he sees him as a drunkard, as a freaking heartbroken alcoholic who's trying to change his future. But, mm-hmm. you know, and what's the best way he could do it? Time travel, like the only way he knows how. And, you know, I think it's crazy that they touch on that. Like, you know, there's a duality between old and young, like that, like you have to be this dumb idiot kid to grow up and to be the person you are later, right? Kind of like, like 25-year-old Dylan is definitely not 35-year-old Dylan. Like, you know what I mean? 25-year-old Ryan is definitely not going to be 35-year-old Ryan. You know what I mean?
That's
And
true, yeah.
and there's a kid that I work with. He's a fresh 21, maybe 21 for like 4 or 5 months. He's a fucking jackass. But then I think about it myself, like I used to do the same shit. So I can never even say anything to him like, "Hey, dog, you're fucking being stupid. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear about any of your stupid stories." But then I'm like, "Wait, I used to do that shit."
Yeah.
Like, wait, I used to do that shit. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like this definitely captures that, and the simple fact that it's literally the same person talking to each other, just different timelines, makes it all the more freaking potent. I'm fucking hyped, bro. Like this is some fantastic writing, fantastic art. I'm fucking interested. I'm invested in Kang now. Like, you know what I mean?
For sure. Like, I wish this book came out before the spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. Yeah, before the Loki series. I mean, it's been out long enough. You guys probably have seen it, but I wish it would have, because like I knew who it was that we were seeing, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's like if there's a character that I don't really know, like Guardians of the Galaxy, I fucking did not care that movie was coming out at all.
Oh, bro,
right?
Same.
Like, but I went to watch it because Marvel had a good track record, and I'm like, I'll go see that. You know what I mean? I know a little bit about Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't really know who the fuck I don't know who any of these characters are, because I didn't read enough of them.
I knew Gamora and Drax. That's it.
Yes. Oh, you know what? I did know Drax because there was a Drax miniseries that I had bought just because I really loved the design of the character, and he looked the cover of the first issue back in the day was like really badass. But yeah, I didn't know about him. But then I wanted to read comics about the character. So I guess that's kind of helped this series maybe a little bit in my eyes of me wanting to check it out, because like I'm like, oh, I want to know who that character is. I want to know more about him. I want to know his history, because like I get bits and pieces, like Nathaniel Richards is Reed Richards' dad, but he's from the 31st century, so it's or is he a descendant? Like there's just such a I don't even know. As many comic books as I've read, I still don't totally get how he could be his dad, or if he's a descendant. Like it's very confusing. And I hope that we get more of that and we learn more about that, because Kang has always been, I think, considered a Fantastic Four villain first and then an Avengers villain. And I know that he's gonna make an appearance in that Fantastic Four, the anniversary issue, the 60th anniversary that's coming out. The next issue, I think issue 35. Yeah, I'm very hyped. Agreed. You know what I mean? Like I love, and again, like I told you earlier, like he has different identities, right? So are they going to be able to tie that all together and make it some sort of cohesiveness within a 4-issue series? Probably not. Can they clean it up a little bit? I hope so. And I like that, there's a little bit of a love interest, that he meets in the past, because again, time travel shit. One of my favorite pages too is with Little Kang. That's what I'm gonna call him. Little Kang gets his fucking bitch slap straight across the face. I fucking laughed out loud. I was like, oh hell yeah, bam, right in the fucking face, dude, by his older self.
As an older person, like if I was to see younger me, I'd slap the shit out of myself too. Stop it,
dude.
Go home, call your mother.
Yeah, if I could go back in time, I probably would have smacked myself a few times. There's a few things that I would have smacked myself for. And you get the blue, the lines on his face that are on his face. The mask thing still is weird to me. That's besides the point. Like why it turns blue. But yeah, I get the stripes mean something now, right? They're giving meaning to it, which I don't think has ever been touched upon. I think that he accepts that he's gonna be Kang too, like as he steals older Kang's costume.
Honestly, this is what I talk about class, or the really class writing. This is there was never a moment in which I was just like completely confused with the time travel shenanigans, but at the same time, it left enough of a mystery where I was just like, all right, cool, continuing on, let's go. So issue 2, especially where everything ends in this issue, the hope when it starts in the next issue, I hope it's going to be fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's confronting
like
another version of himself. So
mhm.
that's. I feel like this series can get really confusing, but I hope
Yeah.
that they kind of
No,
they
it's
balanced
like
it well in this first
yeah,
issue.
it's like in all of his appearances in Cantwell's Doom, right? It's like it was always a different version of Kang showing up during that moment in time in Doctor Doom's life. Like
Yep.
there's even a moment where Kang pops up and he's like, "What year is this?" Like, "What year is this?" I oh okay, cool. Like,
Yeah,
all right,
because
well, you just woke me up.
he's also got to watch what he says too, or
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? Because that could be a whole nother thing that just throws time fucking out of whack if you say the wrong thing and the butterfly effect, all that.
yeah.
But I love time travel stories, and I like them when they're done in a way that doesn't it doesn't feel corny and it doesn't like confuse. I think that they
Yeah.
balanced it pretty well here, and yeah, I'm very excited. Definitely gonna pick up the next issue. I won't wait for. I don't think I could wait for the trade.
I'm definitely gonna sub this mini
Yeah,
easy.
I'm invested. It's only
Yeah,
4 issues too, so it's like,
exactly.
why not?
It's
3 more
right.
comics, I can deal with that. Another 4 issue miniseries,
All
Trial of
right.
Magneto.
So let's talk about this. Me and Ryan, before we started recording, we always kind of like share a little bit of how we felt about the comics, and we actually have conflicting opinions on this. I loved it. Ryan, not so much. So I'm gonna let Ryan go first with this, and then I'll follow up.
Okay, so Leah Williams is the writer. Lucas Wernick is artist. Edgar Delgado colorist. Clayton Cowles is the letter, and obviously Tom Muller is the design, as he does for all the X titles. So if you haven't read the Hellfire Gala and you don't know what this fucking book is about by now, and you can't tell from the covers, this is about the death of Scarlet Witch. Magneto's on trial for her murder. At first when this book was announced, I didn't care because I'm like, nah, I don't. Trial of Magneto, whatever. I don't need to read that. But then I found out who it was about, and Scarlet Witch has become kind of like a character that I've really been starting to dig because of the WandaVision show and me going back and reading a bunch of old stories with her. And we read House of M, which has nothing to do with WandaVision, by the way, even though people were speculating that it did. I was like, okay, this could be interesting. Is she dying so they could bring her back as a mutant? Throughout the X line, she's been called the Great Pretender
Okay.
because they rewrote her fucking history, which really pissed me off. Her and Quicksilver were formerly Magneto's kids, and they made them not kids and made them kids of Magneto and made them basically the High Evolutionary, another pretty big Marvel villain, experimented on them, and that's how they have their powers. So I have been speculating that the reason she's dying is so that they can fix that fucking dumb mistake and make her a mutant again, because I feel like they did that before so that they could use her in the MCU without conflicting with the X-Men movies with Fox. Now they're
Yeah.
all under one umbrella. Fix that fucking mistake that you guys did. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was interesting, it being Magneto's kids. I think that he, you know, some of the stuff I liked in here was, he's grieving, but then the thing I didn't like, a lot of the characters to me were written out of character. They didn't feel like they should. Magneto fucking attacking Charles. That was kind of weird. Um, the what is it? The fucking it's X Factor, right? The X Factor team, because they're the
X
ones that
Factor is
it,
the ones that investigate.
right, the ones that investigate. So I don't know. It feels like this really was an X Factor story that would have been in the main series if that book wasn't canceled and turned into this. So I don't know. It just
Which sucks.
Polaris going to
Which
go.
sucks because like I kind of like X Factor. I kind of like their whole get down. But
I like. I haven't read all of it. I've read some of it,
yeah,
and I don't think that was a bad series. I just
yeah,
think that some of the other characters, and this is a problem I've had with the X line, where from one book to the next, a character can be written completely different. To me, that just doesn't make sense. It's one thing to complain about having a connected continuity. It's another thing to write a character completely out of the character that they're portrayed in every other book, or how they've been portrayed for fucking 50, 60 years or whatever,
right.
So that's kind of a little bit of my issue. And I don't know. To me, it was a lot of writing, a lot of reading, and it hurts my eyes when I have to read too much, and I don't need to be reading that much. I'm sorry. That's just my, like sometimes you can let the art breathe. You don't need to cover it up with a bunch of word balloons. But that's just something that's nitpicky to me too. And then you have the vote, right? Like you have the vote when it's like, I just thought that, like the like, how do you even have a vote and it's that small? Like you can't even see. Like
Who votes? Yeah.
Nick brought that up too. I'm like, yeah, dude, that is weird. Just the panel structure was a little weird. I don't think the art was bad. At moments, I didn't really care for it. I don't think overall it was bad, but I don't. Like I said, it's just Magneto's behavior in here was just, it was off to me. Like, this isn't how Magneto has been behaving the entire Dawn of X, Reign of X storyline. I'm not storyline, that's not the right word, but you get what I'm saying? Like, during Dawn of X and Reign of X, he hasn't been acting like this. So it just felt weird. It just felt odd. I mean, the moment with Quicksilver, seeing him in there, like, I've always been a fan of Quicksilver. He's kind of an asshole. And I relate. I relate to him as a character. So I I like seeing him. That's basically my issue. Is characters written out of character. That's why I didn't grade it higher.
Okay. I love this book. I really.
Okay, Ryan, I completely disagree. All right.
Yeah. No. I mean, I do disagree. There are characters that are written out of character. I will agree, but the thing is, I don't think that Magneto was written out of character. I think no. Look, check it out. Check it out. Listen here.
I'm listening.
Check it out. His daughter died. Right.
I get it.
Regardless of how you want to look at it, his daughter died. Like regardless of how he may have portrayed how he feels about anybody, about a Scarlet Witch, about Polaris, like let's take everybody out of the equation and let's just focus on those three, right? Let's focus on Magneto, let's focus on Polaris, and let's focus on Pietro, right?
Mm-hmm.
All House of M.
Right.
And Magneto's grieving. Magneto is fucking grieving, and rationally, like, he may not have been reacting. Like the whole attacking Charles thing. That is out of character, but also you do things out of character when you're grieving. There's a lot of grieving in this. Even right down to Polaris, like how she lashes out and finally like fucking lets loose on how she really feels about Magneto. Even if like in the past few issues of whatever those two have been in comics, their relationship seemed to have like been getting a little closer and like sort of kind of bonding, right? Because she is the mistress of magnetism. She's like they're finally kind of starting to connect. But there's a lot. I feel like the conversations had here are conversations that people in grieving would have. The kind of arguments they would have, but magnified to the point because of the simple fact that they're all powerful mutants, right? Like,
okay, but
like,
Polaris and Wanda were never very close, and the fact that like Magneto and her have had a pretty close relationship during this whole era of X-Men, all of a sudden she's like, no, fuck you, trying to make me into the perfect daughter you always want. Like, I just think like all of a sudden like it snaps.
But to you, it may seem all of a sudden, but the thing is, like, if you take away their powers, you got to layer them as real people, right? Like, yeah, everything could be all fine and surfacey on the front, but like they're like, even though they never touched. This is what my issue. Like, they should have touched on these things. Like, they should have touched on these things in previous issues, so that way it would have made this more potent. That's my issue. But like,
okay, well then that's what I'm saying. So it's out of character because you didn't lead up to this. You just dropped us in with these feelings and emotions like immediately to where like there's not this like conversation where like there's a chunk missing then from the book. You know what I mean? Like there's an unseen chunk.
I also feel a lot of like the uncharacteristic stuff is I kind of feel like Mystique is puppeteering a lot of stuff right now.
Well, yeah, she's behind whatever's going to be Inferno.
Yeah,
she's going to set the world on fire. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so I feel like she's puppeteering a lot, especially with like
the council, the quiet.
Yeah, council. The council. Yeah, the meeting at the quiet council. She's definitely like egging things on, right?
Okay, so what if she's portraying somebody else at times? Maybe if it ends up being Mystique, like pretending to be somebody else to kind of manipulate events. Maybe that's why.
I
don't
just
know.
feel like maybe Mystique has a team, like
She's probably manipulating. I mean, she's one of the most manipulative characters in the Marvel universe. So I wouldn't put it past her. So that makes sense. But how about this? Let me throw something at you real quick. You're telling me that Jean Grey cannot read Magneto's mind unless he's awake?
No, she tried.
But dude, she says it right here on what his subconscious is up to, because right now that'd be what's at the forefront of the mind. And it's a lawless place. I need Emma's help. Jean Grey cannot read his mind and fucking retrieve information from his mind because he may be having fucking nightmares or whatever the fuck. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Jean Grey is an Omega level mutant. She doesn't need Emma Frost's help. That right there is that's a glaring error.
That I had
in terms of power set. So like I was like, come on.
Issue with. I definitely had issue with.
Come on. You know what I mean? Like, come on, dude. Like, that's just a way for you to kind of stretch the story out, right? Because if she figures it out right away, then you don't have a comic. Then you don't have the next 3 issues if she fucking retrieves whatever information. And this is the trial of Magneto. It's not the trial of Scarlet Witch's death. That's not what they're calling it. They're calling it like Magneto's on trial. They're accusing him of murder, right? He didn't fucking kill her.
No, everybody knows that.
You didn't fucking kill her.
Everybody knows
kill her. Somebody else did. Look.
But also, I mean, fucking spoiler alert. Like, let me give you guys a second. Okay. Like, she's not dead. I feel like by issue 4, Wanda's gonna be back. Like, and she's gonna be like, it wasn't Magneto, it was da-da-da-da. But I feel like whatever this is definitely a stepping stool into whatever is going to happen with Wanda next. This is just, I feel like this is just going to push forward 2 characters mainly, and it's good. Oh well, push 2 characters forward and push the Inferno narrative along further, right? So I think it's going to push forward Wanda, and I think it's going to push forward Magneto and whatever roles they have to play in whatever Hickman has planned.
Well, Hickman's leaving.
Yeah, I know. But
Sucks.
Inferno is going to be Inferno, exactly. Sucks. But it's fine because I feel like the X-Men are in good hands. I mean, Duggan is doing a fantastic.
A weekly X-Men book, bro? How long is that going to go on?
Not very long.
It better not, because I'll fucking jump off the train, bro. That's too much. Like, I already have to deal with weekly Spider-Man pretty much. Like, weekly X-Men, I don't know. I'm weary about it because like I felt like we were kind of in the middle of his run. That's what I feel. I feel like this was kind of the midway point, Inferno, and then we were gonna near the end game, and now he's gonna jump off X-Men. Like that. I mean, I'm not saying that the X-Men line, like, there's great books. X-Force, Ben Percy, phenomenal. I love the Wolverine book by Ben Percy as well. I like.
There's another writer who's I forgot to mention. Ben Percy has been fucking killing it.
I love Jerry Duggan and what he's doing. I don't think Leigh Williams is a bad writer either, because like I said, I liked some of the X Factor stuff. I think she writes a little bit too much sometimes, just a tad. But you made me dislike. I didn't hate the book. I just had issues with it. So for me, it was again like probably 7.5. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of how I felt. I know you liked it more, and I understand where you're coming. If I had the same thinking you had, which is, oh, they're grieving, because I lost my dad. Like, I get what grief does.
Same.
Grief makes you fucking say and do shit that is probably gonna be out of character. I just feel like it was just amplified so quickly that I don't think it would have happened necessarily that crazy and that fast. You know what I mean? Like, to lose all sense of logic in terms of like their behavior. Like, I don't know. It just, there's moments that felt weird. And then again, like the fucking Jean Grey thing, her power. Dude, please, dude. She's one of the most powerful mutants on the fucking planet. And this is me being nerdy about it, but I mean, she could have found out. She should have. I mean, let me put my glasses on real quick.
Actually,
she should have been able to fucking retrieve whatever the fuck she wanted out of his mind instantly. And I get it. You can't do that, right? Because then if you find out, oh, it's not Magneto, then, or whatever, it wasn't, you lose the series. But I think you could have. I think you kind of could have been like, oh, it wasn't Magneto, but you don't know, right? You don't see because
Or
maybe the person that did it, is really good at doing psychic blocks. Like that.
they could have fucking twisted it and be like, it was Magneto, and that's what was in the mind. But then later on, come to find out that that was like an implanted memory.
You could have done that.
Or that should have been wild.
My theory is maybe Pietro.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Look, because
the whole metal thing, that whole metal thing, like that was pretty condemning. But also, it's pretty fucking obvious too, right?
It's too obvious.
I feel like
Pietro fucking already fucked his sister over once, right? Manipulated her in House of M. Right. What would stop him from doing something that he thinks is for the betterment of her, right? Like have her resurrected from a better time in her life, because at one point she was thought of as a mutant, which means Xavier had a backup for her. That didn't just you just threw it away because she's not a mutant anymore. No, you probably have a Franklin Richards one too. So why couldn't they bring her back to a time maybe before she did House of M?
Before she snaps.
Right? Like this is the kind of theory that I was toying around with yesterday. And I'm probably wrong. This is probably me, kind of what I want to see, right? But it probably won't happen. And Pietro, like him killing his sister, that's kind of stretching it. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he'd necessarily kill her, but I wouldn't put it past him because he's done some questionable shit from House of M and going forward, right? So
yeah. I just think wherever they go with this, it's definitely gonna rock the foundation for how Wanda will be perceived on Krakoa. Because as you said, like, you know what I mean, she's been referred to nothing but the Great Pretender. Like they're even there's even a panel where people are cheers for fucking her being dead. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Again, now you know what? Thank you for bringing that up. That was another issue I have.
I'm just like, God damn. But also that I have to feel like that's in due part to Exodus. Exodus has been like consistently on that campaign of like the Great Pretender, they even show with the whole campfire thing when they're teaching the younglings about like about the mutant gene, and they talk about the Great Pretender, and they even shiver like, ooh, we don't mention her name, she's like a fucking fucking Voldemort of fucking Krakoa, right?
Yeah.
Like
I think Exodus is one of the people that is being speculated on as the one that killed her too.
Yeah. But also, I feel like that's kind of a shovel piece, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, obviously it was Exodus, but I feel like it could be. I could feel like it could also be like a heretic, like some sort of.
It has to be somebody, dude. I would be kind of disappointed if it was some random.
I don't think it's gonna be random because, like they said, they got close enough. That's one of the things I really liked about the whole forensics thing. It's like literally a team of like North Star, Dakin, and Rachel Gray, their forensics team. Like I feel like that's fucking cool.
I mean, yeah, I think that the concept of X Factor was always very interesting to me, and I haven't read every issue. Obviously, I've read issues that tie in with like the events, like the Ten of Swords and the Hellfire Gala. I read those. So that was the last issue of X Factor, I believe, was the Hellfire Gala issue.
Yeah, you didn't read the story arc before.
I didn't. The one with Aurora.
Yeah.
No, I didn't read that one. So I didn't know that she had gotten brought. I mean, I didn't. I remember they discovered her body. I think that was issue 1. Yeah, I didn't finish the arc. I'll probably just pick up the trade for that. It
was like Aurora and Mojo World. That show was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of interested how Dakin and her are in a relationship. I think that's interesting. You know what I mean? Like, where did that pairing come from? Because I kind of like it.
It's the pheromones, bro. It's the pheromones.
Yeah. So, overall, Trial of Magneto, like I said, I was not my favorite book. Am I gonna keep it on the pool? It's hard to say because I love Magneto. So usually if Magneto is on the title of a book, I usually will just get it. I mean, I get Spider-Man, even though I think some of those issues are fucking complete garbage.
But you gotta look at it like this, bro. Like, you have to see how it turns out. You have to see where this goes.
Oh yeah, and if I'm not going to be at the shop, I have no choice. I have to buy it because I'm not going to be able to take it home to read for free anymore, like I have been. So, I mean, my pull list kind of jumped up a little bit when I knew I was going to be leaving the shop because I don't want to miss out.
But you'll be
on certain
fine.
books.
No, but
Yeah.
you'll be fine. As far as this goes, this is definitely staying on my poll. Like I definitely want to see. I have some questions that I feel like need to be answered. Like what's up with Wanda? Like what's
it was
going
never
on?
on my poll. I have to add it because I sub to a variant. I sub to I got that Brooks cover, that phenomenal Mark Brooks cover that is just complete fire. I think it's the best cover that came out. I know people probably like the Art Germ. The Capullo Hidden Gem was pretty cool, but and the Torque, the Torque variant was really cool. The one with Wanda and it's just her head.
The Capullo one was good, but honestly, friggin' Mark Brooks killed it. Mark Brooks, man.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. So yeah, I mean, those are we only read 3 books this week. We still ended up talking for an hour because I think we talked a little bit at the beginning about some other stuff. But yeah, I think that they're all worth reading.
Yes.
You know, even if I said it wasn't maybe my favorite, I definitely think it's worth reading, especially like with Trial of Magneto. If you're reading the X-Men books, any of them, and you're into that stuff, you should definitely pick it up. If you're a fan of Scarlet Witch, you should pick it up. Kang was great introductory to the character, and then Killer Queens was a fun read. But yeah, that's all I got for those comics. You want to talk next week?
Yeah, I have 2 off top that I want to talk about. King Spawn.
I mean, I think that goes without saying.
Like,
I don't even know why. Yeah, I mean, come
on. Our Lord and Savior. Yeah. And Infinite Frontier issue 5 comes out, and like we've been pretty excited for that.
Okay.
What else comes out?
Cable Reloaded. I was hoping we could read.
Yeah.
Al Ewing is writing that, and I talked to the artist, and he said that he really leans into like 90s stuff in there, and it's like he said he had a blast drawing it. So we definitely are gonna do that one. So that's 3 books. I was gonna say there's also Superman 78 comes out. But there's also Superman versus Lobo. I don't know what you want to do. I don't want to do more than 5. So I was looking at DC's list. I didn't notice that.
How do you feel about doing Darkhawk? Okay, say no more.
I'll do it if you want to. I have no affinity nor knowledge of the character, so it's not like it would bother me, you know?
Dude, Darkhawk is one of those characters like in the 90s where I just absolutely loved because it was literally about a kid. We were kids in the 90s, obviously. It was literally about a kid who finds a jewel and all of a sudden becomes Darkhawk and starts fucking fighting crime alongside fucking Ghost Rider and Wolverine and shit.
Oh, you know what the book I was going to suggest? Echolands by J.H. Williams.
Who's the publisher?
Image. This book is supposed to have been coming out for like at least 6 years.
Okay, yeah, let's do Echolands.
Do you want to? I'm just asking. Do you want to read? We could do 5. Either Superman 78 or Superman versus Lobo. We don't have to do those. I don't care. It's not like I don't need to cover either one of those books. You want to just do those 4? King Spawn, Infinite Frontier 5, Cable Reloaded, and Echolands. We'll leave it pending.
Depends if I'm able to read those. If I'm able to read.
I will read. Yeah, so I will read them. They will have been read. So like if you do and.
Although Superman versus Lobo does grasp at me.
But, I know.
Anything main man. I know. It's the fucking main man, bro. Maybe we won't.
Try to read it. Try to read it. Okay.
I mean, it's Superman and Lobo.
I mean, it's Lobo. I don't care who the fuck he's fighting, but if he's fighting Superman, I want to read it. So, anyways, we'll try. So, King Spawn #1. Cable Reloaded #1, Echolands #1, Infinite Frontier number 5, and Superman vs. Lobo pending. We'll try to get to that because that's 5 books. We'll see if we can do it. So yeah, that's all we got for this week. Hope you join us next week. And if you're not already following us, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Comic Lounge. Follow Dylan at The Dillpod on Instagram. Dillpod is dope on Twitter. And like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid goes up. Hit that TeePublic link down below. Pick up some Comic Lounge merch. And on that note, we're out.
Later, buds.